Morning folks, and welcome back to the farm. I just want to start today's video by thanking all the dinosaurs that had to die in order to keep me warm today. It is extremely cold. We started off this morning about 6, it was minus 37. Since the sun has come up, it's dipped down to minus 39. So hell hasn't frozen over yet, but it's getting a little frosty for sure. I'm just out here burning some boxes, leftover Christmas wrapping paper, things like that, and getting on with morning chores. I just already fed the sheep. I give them extra grain today because it's super cold. And then I checked in on the chickens as well. The chicken house is extremely warm. Wow, it doesn't take much to be extremely warm when it's almost minus 40 outside. But it is minus 2 inside the chicken house. So that compost pile, I put the thermometer inside the compost pile, and it is 60 degrees Celsius in the compost pile. So it's doing magical things for keeping that chicken house warm, preventing our eggs from freezing, keeping the chickens nice and cozy. And yeah, it's going to be a quick one this morning. There won't be too much done today. I'm going to do the flight of the bumblebee, make sure everybody's fed, everybody's watered, everybody's warm. And then I'm going to just drink copious amounts of tea for the rest of the day. Speaking about everybody watered, when I walked over by the shop over here, the first thing I smelled when I come out of the house was like, is that an electrical fire? And it turns out the 50-gallon water trough that we have in behind the shop was empty. They've drank it down over the last 3 days. And the water heater element was sitting there just heating up the atmosphere, basically heating up the neighborhood. So, get some more boxes on there. So that was making a heck of a stink, and I was a little bit concerned because, I mean, every heater we've got, I mean, the one in the shop, the one in the house, it's just been going steady for several days. And it's going to have to go steady for several days more here. Just checking on the weather forecast again, the long range forecast. Yeah, there's going to be a couple of days where we'll get, teased, I guess, with a little bit of warmer weather intermittently. But largely, for the most part, we're looking at the middle of January, and it's going to be at least minus 25 all the way through. So I guess things are getting serious. It's actually wintertime. If you're wondering what I meant earlier by that dead dinosaur comment, that's what I'm talking about. This thing's just been going crazy, just like firing out carbon tax, just steady for the last couple of days. So, Justin Trudeau, you're welcome. You're going to get paid. Don't worry, the check is in the mail. It's kind of nice. You can see over there on the chicken house, actually, it's warm enough in there that the snow that has fallen has actually melted off the chicken house. And you can see from the front hatch, there's lots of ventilation happening there, lots of frost above the door and beside the hatch. So any of that excess moisture that's being created from the chicken's breath or even the compost pile is getting ejected from the chicken house. So nobody, if for some reason it does get really cold in there, nobody's going to get frostbite. And I've seen a lot of posts recently about that, is frostbite and extreme cold in the chicken house. And so that's why we put compost in there, to build a little bit of warmth. Yes, it creates a little bit of humidity, but with adequate ventilation, it's not a problem. It actually works very well. Anyway, speaking of the carbon tax, looks like we're going to pay lots today because not only are we got the furnaces going, the heaters going in the shop, everybody's getting extra hay today. Everybody's getting extra grain today, just to try and keep all these fuzzy creatures warm. I think even myself, I might have to have a few extra butter tarts just to keep me warm. It's kind of funny, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I put out a video talking about a hay calculator, how much hay you should be feeding over the course of, or how much you should be planning at least to be feeding over the course of the winter. But if you get days like this, whatever that number is, just double it. If it's minus 40, double it. If they're lactating, double it. If they're late gestation, double it. So that's one important thing that I didn't mention in that previous video, is that when things get to the extreme, you're going to have to feed to meet the need kind of thing, right? Feed to breed and feed to meet the need. So the horses got lots. I'll come by, feed them again later this evening. I'm just going to run over and get a bucket of grain for our mature lambs. And then I think it's gonna be tea time for me. As you can see, the old nose and mustache is not yet acclimated. I do actually have to wash a whole pile of eggs before I go drink my tea. But before I do that and then run in and get myself all filled up on butter tarts, I do have a two-part question for you. What are your favorite pair of winter gloves for mitts or whatever it might be to help you do chores? Myself, I use these Hot Fingers. I think I got them a few years ago for Christmas. Wife probably picked them up at Costco. And what's your favorite pair of work boots for winter chores? So I use the Arctic Pro muck boot, and they're probably the warmest pair of boots I've even ever owned. I own these big Baffins, big bulky Baffins that I had when I worked on the rigs, and they've been parked. They've been parked in favor of these muck boots. Now, that's not to say that these things won't disintegrate in a couple of years, and I'll have to buy new ones, and they're not cheap. But so far, my feet have been warm and dry, and my hands too, from years and years of, you know, hand on the brake handle, right? It's a big steel handle, drilling. You get arthritic fingers that don't like the cold, so a good pair of gloves comes in handy. So I want to know, what is it you favor? What works well for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. But right now, I got a whole mess of eggs I got to wash, and then figure out something for a cup of tea and a snack here. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you stay warm, safe, dry, and have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow.